say like, guys, like, we just pray to like a God, like who is a living God, you know, like he's not dead, like he's very alive. He's like on the move. He's gonna move like whether we're moving with him or whether we're not. Like man, like, it's so awesome. And like, it's like when you're following Jesus, like you're just following him like all or nothing, you know. And like the thing is, like he is all or nothing. It's like either you're following like the ways of this world, and like you're following. Like you're just being a robot, and like you're like by nature like just an object of wrath in this world. You're like following Jesus, and like you're like overcome this world, and like I love like the other day like we were in church and he had this awesome analogy about a snake, and and it's just like it's so true because it's like when we're like with Jesus and stuff, like a lot of times like it seems like the war's still going on and stuff, but guess what, like Satan's already been defeated, y'all. Like, he's already came out, he's like, hey Satan, guess what, put me in any position you want, I'm still gonna beat you. Like, yeah, you have me on a cross, but guess what, I'm gonna rise up from the dead. That's awesome.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm powerful, I'm stronger than you. And it's just so awesome. And like when we were thinking of like 963, like how we got the name and stuff, me and Chris, just a normal day, chilling at Zaxby's, and
I was there.
Chris was like, hey dude, we should make the name like 116, and I was like, you can't just do that. He's like he's like wanting coffee, like 116 is like preaching records, like all that, like and so I was like, can't do that. So we just looked up some like cool Bible verses, and we were like naming it like something. First one we saw was 963, like Psalms 963, like declare like his nations among all peoples, like his marvelous deeds among all people. And like, dude, we saw that, and me and Chris, we just looked at each other, we're just like, yes, like, come on, like, that's what we want to be about, like, we want to, like, go out and, like, make disciples and stuff, like, that's all we saw, but we didn't really read Psalm 96 until, like, I think Will was actually already read it on the bus. We were going to, coming back from summer camp, and Will read it, he's like, dude, you gotta read this, man. I was like, dude, okay. So I read it, and, it's so awesome because it's like all about like God. It's like doing it all, like go out, make disciples, like for Jesus. Like that's what we want to be about. Like first and foremost, like we are here to glorify God. Like that's right. Like our hearts are literally God didn't create us like for us. Like God created us for Him.
Yeah.
And so like that's so awesome. Like our hearts are literally created to like enjoy and to like glorify God. And so like at the end of last year, like I'm like kind of like new, like really like following Jesus. And like at the end of last year is like really when I started. And like thanks, and like literally, I would just like be walking down the hall and like my heart would just be breaking because like I'd look at these people and I would just see them just like so broken, just like going down the hallways, and like I was like, dude, like I know you what you need, like you're sick right now. I got the medicine, like his name is Jesus, and like dude, it's so awesome, and like God, like he's just so unstoppable. Like I love it. Like one of my favorite stories in the Bible is Acts 5. So there's these people. And they're just trying to kill some apostles after Jesus died. And so they're like, they had this like devious plan to like come up and like kill him. And then there's this one dude like he's about to go kill like some of the apostles, and he's just like sort of like gets the whole picture from the first time. And I love it because he's just like, all right guys, chill. He's like, all right, so if these guys are of the human flesh, like their works is gonna fail. Like if they're of this like this world, like they're gonna fail. But these people are men of God. Like you cannot stop these men.
Yeah.
And like that's us. Like right now, like if we're gonna like do this like for ourselves, like we might as well like not like go out and try to make disciples. Because like if we're doing it like for like ourselves and like trying to make people think we look good and stuff, trying to make people like think like we're Christian or whatever, and, like we think it's a good thing or something. Like we shouldn't do it. Like but if we're doing it for God, like I tell them like what God's gonna do through this, and like I believe like revival will come. And so like. I think like revival is like gonna come like when people like see us and see like we've encountered Jesus, like the woman of the well, and like how she like had an encounter with Jesus, and then she like went back to her people, and people like saw how different she was because like she's like, dude, I met this guy named Jesus, and he told me everything's gonna be okay because I have living water, and like I'm never gonna stop. Like I feel like when you get that, like your attitude changes, and like people like see like a storm of like people like this coming in, like people are gonna start asking questions, and like that's when you're just like, dude, like what's up with you? Like, dude, I'm just living out what I'm living in. That's grace and that's love.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'll say something. I forgot to say. But yeah. So like Jesus like he like based like all of Christianity like off of just 12 guys. You know, we got like what 20 people in here. Like imagine like what God could do like through us. Like we just like really just lean in together and just like go all out for God. Like dude, I'm just excited. I love you. Come on, Chris. Come on, get over here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to match Yosh's excitement. Yeah, but if I had like title this talk, like, when me and Josh were like talking about it, like the whole idea is like, okay, why are we gonna make disciples? And Josh kind of hit it off with just like for the glory of God. And I'm gonna kind of like go into like why people need Jesus and why we're gonna do it for people. But honestly, they're connected. It's the way it works, guys. When we look up at the glory of God, God always redirects our eyes down and we see people. Like, that's why I love we started with worship. We become in awe of God and become in love with God, and we want to serve that God. So yeah, it's just kind of like where we start is we look up at God, and then He shows us people in need. And this is, yeah, Will kind of talked about it beautifully, but like there's a need for Jesus at our schools. Like, don't get past that. Like there's a kind of analogy that goes off what Will was talking about. Is like, I think there's a lot of people in our schools that are going to miss eternity with Jesus by a little more than a foot. It's in their brain, because it's in their brain, they know of God, they know that He died on the cross for their sins, that He rose again, and that if they believe Him, they get some prize or whatever. But like, they don't really know God, they don't really love God.
That's
so
right.
It's in their head, but they're going to miss it by a little more than a foot. It's not in their heart. So when it's in your heart, you really know God, you truly love God, and you truly follow God. So guys, get that in your mind. Like, there's a need for Jesus at our school. I don't care if you took a poll, 90% of Wesleyan people, or 90% of Wesleyan people would say they're Christian. GAC probably 88%, so we're a little more Christian than you guys. And then Norcross, it's a little more diversity. It's a public school, so probably a little less than that. But majority of people, yeah, majority of people probably say they're Christian in the Bible Belt. But like, guys, we're the minority. Like, let's get that on our minds. Like, we're the minority. We're not reaching the 10% of Wesleyan students that would say they're not Christian. We're reaching a lot of people like Will before he came to know Jesus. And so get that in your mind. I think this is scripturally based. I have a passage somewhere in here. Yeah. Well, first there's the passage where it's like Jesus talking like, many will knock. Emphasis on the word many. Many will knock on the door of heaven and they think they're going to get in. And Jesus is going to answer and be like, flee from me because I never knew you. And I don't know, that passage like breaks my heart and like scares me, not for myself, because honestly I know I'm good. But like there's a lot of people in my school that I can see Jesus saying that to because they know of God, but they don't really know God, they don't truly love God.
Yeah.
And this is also scripturally based in Isaiah, that's why I had to pull the notes out. Listen to our schools in this. This is our school. The Lord says, these people come near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips. It's on their Facebook profile. They have John 3:16 in their Twitter bio, but their hearts are far from me. Their worship of me is based merely on human rules they've been taught. And I don't know, that's Wesleyan to me. Like,
yeah,
based on human rules, their parents told them that they should follow Jesus. They should be a Christian. They've been to church, been raised in the church. Like, they're just told to follow Jesus. They're like, okay, cool, yeah. I don't know. But I think there's so much more. So the first point I want you to get out on like my side of the talk is that there's a need for Jesus at our school. Don't ignore the fact just because we have 2 Christian schools represented that there's not a need for Jesus. There's a need for Jesus.
Yeah.
And so my second point off of that is Jesus has given us the way to bring the gospel to them. And it's the power, it's the plan of discipleship. I know you're like, oh, okay, cool, I've heard that before. But no, there's power in discipleship. It's what took Jesus from 1 to 12 to hundreds and hundreds of million. I'm not going to go to 2 billion, 3 billion statistic because a lot of people's hearts are far from God. But hundreds of million people have come from one person based off this plan of discipleship. So guys, there's power in discipleship, and that's the power to change our school. 4,000 people in Norcross, God's not like, oh crap, 4,000? No, like, I don't know the exact number, but like, it was Peter, like right after they got the Holy Spirit, and like was it 4,000 he converted in a day? There's some passage in Acts, 6,000, like come on, like, God can do 4,000, like I don't care. Like he doesn't care, like he can't be stopped. So guys, discipleship, we have to get in our mind, is not just Louis Giglio's job. It's not just Andy Stanley's job, or whoever the perimeter pastor is. It's not Greg Liston's job, the Christian Life Director at Wesleyan. It's not just for full-time ministry kind of people. It's for us. Because guys, when we come from death to life in Jesus, when you're alive in Jesus, you have just entered the plan A of God for the salvation of all his people.
That's right.
So guys, like, I don't know, we need to get like out of this self-centered mindset of our faith where we think it's all about us. And yes, God is a great giver and God is glorified when we receive, but like we need to also, like, God's given us stuff to do here on this earth. He's given us some tough commandments. And like, I don't know, I see like sometimes when I'm just like reading like the word, reading scripture, I see myself kind of being selfish and see my self-centered faith. I see what I can get from God, not what I can give to God. And like I kind of see it like I read John 3:16, I'm like, woo! Man, that applies to me. God so loved the world, he gave his only son for me. Wow, that's awesome. I'm gonna write that on a note card, put that up in my room, that's awesome. Let's see, like Romans 8:28, God works for the good of those who love him and called according to his purpose. Underline that one, wow, man, that's really like hitting home with me. Hebrews 13:5, same thing, underline it, writing on a note card, put it up, that's definitely hitting home with me, that's applying to me. But then I read verses like, go make disciples of all nations, pick up your cross and go follow me. Heck, even, this is a tough one I do a kind of job of, sell all your possessions if you want to come follow me. Not saying it's literally going to sell all your possessions, but money should be worthless to us. Like, Jesus is challenging us big time. And yes, we're not going to outgive God because God's a greater giver than we are. But like, we need to like stop being so self-centered in our faith and start like giving back to God. And I don't know, it's like, I don't know. I just think we've gotten like a little like self-centered in our faith. You can even see it like in the American church. $10 billion a year are spent on building new churches and renovating churches. $270 billion is the total amount of real estate in the United States. One that can end world hunger, and that'd be pretty sweet. But like also like it just shows like we're gearing up so much and like, hey guys, please come to us. Like, oh, I hope someone in school comes up and asks me about my faith. And like that's not what the church is meant to be. Like even like youth group sometimes we'll see like, oh, like we got a new pool table. Like, come on, please, it's gonna be so much fun. But like that's not the model the church is supposed to be. The model of the church is supposed to be like, go to people. That's what we need to do. We gotta see, we can't like be sitting in the background of our schools anymore. We need to raise our voice and start reaching out to people. And it might be a little awkward at first, but because there's a need for Jesus at our schools. And I don't know, I just think it's interesting how like we see the Great Commission. It's called the Great Commission. We've all memorized that verse, but like we refuse to do it. I'm like, I don't know, it's just kind of taking a back seat in Christianity today. And you know, this is gonna be a little weird, but we'll take a quick break. We're gonna play a quick game of Simon Says. Just go along with it. Just go along with it. All right. Simon Says, touch your head. All right. Simon Says, touch your knee. All right. When Simon says to do something, why do we automatically do it? No questions asked. Didn't make any sense. We automatically did what Simon says, but we do what Jesus says. All we do is underline that verse. Like I don't know, just memorize it and say I don't know. We get in a group like this and we talk about what our lives would look like if we made disciples, but like we need to start doing it. And I don't know, the church in America has just like gotten misguided where it's the only organization in the entire United States where we're known for what we don't do. And like think about it in our schools, we're known as the kids who don't drink, who don't do drugs, who don't cuss as much. And I'm not saying we should not abstain from those things. Like we should be doing that as much, but hey, we all have our struggles. We're all perfect, like it's not a big deal. Anyway, we're known as the kids who don't do stuff. And like, yeah, that's good, we should abstain from that and try not to do that because there's power in not doing that stuff. But let's be a people who just don't sit in the background and like, yep, I'm not going to take part in that. But no, let's actually go in the world and start being a part of it.
Yeah,
like,
come on.
reaching out to people and being a people of action. I don't know, I just think we're called to be so much more. When we start living out the commandments of Jesus, when we read those tough Bible verses, like when we start actually living them out, just not underlining them, like I think there's gonna be like, our schools are gonna change, guys, and it starts with making disciples. So yeah, I just want to close. I'm trying to think. I don't use my notes that much, but yeah, I'm trying to think. Like the last thing I probably want to close with. This wasn't my story, but like this kind of really hit home to me. David Platt, if you've read any of his books, Radical, I think this is what it's from. Great book, read it. But like, he was gearing up with some of his guys to go into South America. I think it was Brazil, and like the rainforest. There's this tribe that like isolated themselves completely, and like they'd never heard the gospel before. They thought that first world society had like never really gotten into their culture. So like they're like getting pumped, like oh these people have never even seen like other people. They've just been like kind of in their tribe, hidden in the jungle. So they're all gearing up to go. Never heard the gospel. And the first thing David Platt sees when he goes in the village is the local Coke machine, which is a little crazy how the gospel's never reached there, but from the city of Atlanta, Coke, in about 50 years, has reached the entire world, including that remote village. And that's like really hit home to me, like being from the city of Atlanta, like after 2,000 years, the gospel hasn't reached the remote village, but Coca-Cola has reached the entire world. What's it been, 50 years? 100 years? I don't know. But like, is that kind of like medicine or whatever? I don't know. Who cares? 250, even if it is 250, like seriously, like
it's a lot less than 2,000.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. Like, and I'm saying like we have the power to like reach reach that remote